The fork scraped against ceramic, a sound like nails on a chalkboard that made everyone wince except my mother. She was too busy arranging her face into that particular expression I'd known my entire life, the one that said she was about to deliver a killing blow disguised as concern. "Sarah got promoted again," Mom announced, cutting her chicken with surgical precision. "Senior vice president now. Can you imagine? 28 years old." I kept my eyes on my plate. The mashed potatoes had gone cold, forming a skin that reminded me of old paint. I'd been here for 40 minutes, and already I knew how this would end. I always knew. But I came anyway, every Sunday, like some kind of faithful dog returning to the hand that strikes it. "That's wonderful," I said quietly. "Wonderful?" Mom's laugh was like glass breaking. "It's extraordinary. Unlike some people, Sarah actually made something of herself." Across the table, Dad shifted uncomfortably. He'd perfected the art of becoming invisible during these dinners, shrinking into his chair until he was practically part of the furniture. My younger brother, Marcus, suddenly became fascinated by his phone. "I'm happy for her," I said, and I meant it. Sarah was my older sister, and I genuinely loved her success. What I didn't love was being used as her shadow, the negative space that made her shine brighter. "Happy for her." Mom repeated my words like they were evidence in a trial. "You should be ashamed, Emily. You're 31 years old? Still in that little apartment? Still at that dead-end job? Still alone?" The word "still" was her favorite weapon. It implied stagnation, failure, a life suspended in amber while everyone else moved forward. What she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that my dead-end job paid more than Dad's pension and Mom's part-time work at the salon combined. What they didn't know was that my little apartment was a choice, not a limitation. I'd learned early that showing them success only moved the goalposts farther away. "I'm doing fine, Mom." "Fine?" She spat the word like poison. "Sarah is doing exceptional. Sarah just bought a house. A house, Emily. What have you done? You're a secretary, executive assistant," I corrected automatically, then wished I hadn't. Showing any sign of pride was like blood in the water. "Oh, excuse me. Executive assistant. How impressive. You make photocopies for people who actually matter. You schedule meetings for people who actually contribute. You're 31 and you're still playing secretary while your younger sister runs entire departments." The heat crept up my neck. I'd felt this heat before, thousands of times. This rage that had nowhere to go. I'd swallowed it so many times it had become part of my digestive system, breaking down my self-worth into something my body could barely absorb. "I contribute to the company," I said, keeping my voice level. "I'm good at what I do." "Good at being invisible, you mean?" Mom took a sip of wine, the expensive bottle I'd brought. Not that she'd noticed. "Sarah leads. You follow. Sarah creates. You file. Sarah is someone. You're just there." Marcus cleared his throat. "Mom, maybe." "Don't defend her, Marcus. Someone needs to tell her the truth. I'm her mother. If I don't push her, who will? Look at her." She gestured at me like I was evidence at a crime scene. 31 and nothing to show for it. No husband, no children, no career. Just a sad little job and a sad little life. Something crystallized in that moment. It wasn't the insult itself. I'd heard variations of this speech for years. It was the casual cruelty of it, the performance of it. Dad wouldn't meet my eyes. Marcus had retreated back into his phone. They'd all heard this before. They'd all let it happen before. I set down my fork with deliberate care. "I'm right," I said, quietly. Mom blinked, surprised. She'd expected defensiveness, tears, or the usual silent absorption of abuse. Agreement was a new script. "Am I?" she said cautiously. "Absolutely. I'm a loser, a failure, a disappointment." The words came out flat, emotionless. I've accomplished nothing. I'm invisible. Worthless, even. Emily, Dad started, finally looking up, finally sensing something in my tone. No, Dad, it's okay. Mom's right. She's always right, isn't she? I looked at her directly, and she shifted in her seat. I'm nothing. I'm a secretary who makes photocopies. I have a sad little job in a sad little apartment. I'm 31 with nothing to show for it. I didn't mean, Mom began, but her voice lacked conviction. She'd meant every word. Except, I continued, my voice still eerily calm, I'm curious about something. The table went silent. Even Marcus looked up from his phone. If I'm such a failure, such a disappointment, such a worthless nothing, then who's been paying your bills for the last 6 years? The silence that followed was different. It was the sound of air being sucked out of the room. Mom's face went white, then red. What are you talking about? The mortgage, I said, taking items off on my fingers. The one you couldn't make after Dad's company downsized. I'd been paying the difference for 6 years. That's $1,800 a month. Let's see, times 12, times 6. That's about $129,600. Dad's face had gone gray. The car, I continued. Dad's car needed a new transmission 3 years ago. That was $4,500. Then there were the new tires, the brake job, the electrical system, another $3,000 total. Mom's car, the one she drives to her part-time job, that was $15,000. I bought it outright when the old one died. Emily, Mom's voice was strangled. Marcus's college tuition. You remember, Mom, when you told me how proud you were that you and Dad were putting him through school? That was me. $32,000 a year for 4 years. That's $128,000. Plus his apartment, his books, his meal plan. Another $40,000 or so. Marcus had gone pale. The Europe trip you took for your 30th anniversary, the one where you posted hundreds of photos on Facebook and everyone commented about how you'd earned it, that was $12,000. Dad's surgery last year when the insurance didn't cover everything, that was $18,000. The roof repair, $8,000. The new furnace, $6,000. I was still speaking calmly, like I was reading a grocery list, but inside, something was breaking open. Not breaking apart, but breaking open, like a shell cracking to reveal something that had been growing in the darkness. Should I go on? I asked. Because I have spreadsheets. I have every receipt, every bank transfer, every credit card payment. I'm an executive assistant, Mom. I'm very, very good at keeping records. The silence was deafening. We didn't ask you to do that, Mom said finally, her voice weak. No, I agreed. You didn't ask. You just expected. You expected me to help when Dad lost his hours. You expected me to chip in when Marcus got into college. You expected me to contribute when the roof leaked. And I did. Because I'm your daughter, and I love you, and family helps family. Then why are you throwing it in our faces? Mom's recovery was quick. Anger was her default defense. I'm not throwing it in your face. I'm answering your question. You asked what I've accomplished. You called me a loser at the dinner table. You compared me to Sarah for the 1,000th time. You listed all my failures in front of the entire family. And you think I'm being unfair? Mom's mouth opened and closed. No sound came out. Here's what's going to happen. I pulled out my phone. I'm going to walk out of here. And starting tomorrow, the money stops. What? Mom's voice was shrill now. The mortgage supplement. Gone. I'll give you 3 months of notice, which is more than generous. After that, you'll need to figure it out yourselves. The car payments, the credit card I gave you for emergencies that you use for everything, the Netflix account, the Spotify, the Amazon Prime, the phone plan, all of it. I'm canceling everything. You can't do that. Mom stood up, her chair scraping loudly. I can. I'm an adult, remember? A 31-year-old failure with her own money. Money that I earned at my sad little dead-end job that apparently doesn't matter. Emily, please, Dad said. Your mother didn't mean— Yes, she did. I looked at him directly. She meant every word. She always means it. This isn't new, Dad. This is every Sunday, every holiday, every phone call. I'm the disappointing daughter, the one who isn't Sarah, the one who will never be enough. I stood up, gathering my coat and purse. My hands weren't shaking. That surprised me. I'd expected to feel something— rage, sadness, fear. Instead, I felt calm. Eerily, perfectly calm. You're being dramatic, Mom said, but her voice wavered. Maybe. Or maybe I'm finally being honest. I looked around the table at my family. Jad, who never defended me, Marcus, who watched it happen week after week, Mom, who couldn't even see what she'd done wrong. I love you, I said, and I meant it. But I don't like who I become around you. I don't like the version of myself that sits at this table and absorbs abuse because it's family dinner. I don't like feeling small and worthless and invisible. And I'm tired. I'm so tired of trying to earn something I should have gotten freely. What are you talking about? Mom's voice was rising toward hysteria. Your approval, your respect, your love. The words hurt coming out, like pulling shrapnel from a wound. I've been paying for it, literally paying for it, and it's never enough. Sarah gets praised for being successful. I pay your bills and get called a loser. The math doesn't work anymore. So that's it? Mom's hands were shaking. You're going to abandon your family over one comment? One comment? I almost laughed. Mom, you've been saying variations of this for years. Since high school, when I made the B team instead of varsity. Since college, when I chose a practical degree instead of following my passion. Since I got my first job, my first apartment, my first everything. Nothing I do is ever enough because I'm not Sarah. We just want you to live up to your potential. No, you want me to be someone I'm not. And in the process of trying to motivate me, you've spent a decade tearing me down. I'm moving toward the door. I need to go. If you walk out that door, Mom said, her voice cold, don't bother coming back. I paused, my hand on the doorknob. For a second, the old Emily, the one who always came back, who always forgave, who always tried harder, almost turned around. Then I opened the door. I said simply, and walked out into the cool evening air. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. I ignored them all while I had my coffee, the expensive stuff I usually saved for special occasions. Today felt special. I logged into my banking app and started the process. First, I removed Dad and Mom as authorized users on the credit card. Then I called the mortgage company and explained I'd no longer be making supplemental payments. I canceled the car insurance I'd been paying. I removed them from my Amazon, Netflix, and Spotify accounts. Each action felt like removing a weight. Click, click, click. Pounds lifting off my shoulders. Marcus called around noon. I answered, curious. Em, what the hell? His voice was panicked. Mom's freaking out. She says you cut them off. I did. But how are they supposed to? They're adults, Marcus. They'll figure it out. Dad can get a full-time job. Mom can work more hours. They can budget, like actual adults do. But the house, they'll need to refinance or sell. Or Dad could go back to work full-time. He's only 62. Plenty of people work at 62. You're being cruel. That word stopped me. I'm being cruel? Marcus, I've paid for your entire college education, your apartment, your food, your textbooks. Every time you needed money for rent or books or groceries or beer or whatever, I sent it. No questions asked. Silence. I'm not cutting you off. You're my brother and you didn't call me a loser at the dinner table. But I am done being the family ATM while being treated like a failure. Mom and Dad are on their own now. She didn't mean it, he said weakly. Yes, she did. And even if she didn't, the fact that she thought it was okay to say means the same thing. I'm 31 years old, Marcus. I make $140,000 a year. I have $200,000 in savings. I have a 401k, an investment portfolio, and zero debt. By any objective measure, I'm successful. But I let them make me feel like nothing because they're family. Holy shit, he breathed. You make $140,000? But you always said you were just a secretary. Executive assistant to the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. I said exactly what I did. Everyone heard secretary because that fit the narrative they wanted. More silence. Then, I'm sorry, Em, I should have said something. At dinner. All those dinners. Yeah, I said softly. You should have. Sarah called 3 days later. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. I heard, she said without preamble. Of course you did. Mom called me crying. She said you abandoned them. That's one version of events. What's yours? I told her. Everything. The years of payments, the constant criticism, the final dinner. She was quiet for a long time. I didn't know, she said finally, about the money, about any of it. I know. That's not on you. But the rest of it, the comparisons, the mom's obsession with me being the successful one, I knew about that. I've always known. Her voice cracked slightly. I should have said something. Why didn't you? Because it felt good, she admitted. Being the golden child. Being the one she bragged about. I knew she was hard on you, but I told myself it was just her way of motivating you. I knew that was bullshit, but it was easier than confronting her. I'm sorry, Em. Really. Truly sorry. Not just for Mom, but for me. For letting it happen. For never standing up for you. Something loosened in my chest. Thank you. Are you really not coming back? I don't know. Right now, I need space. I need to figure out who I am when I'm not trying to earn Mom's approval or live in your shadow. No offense. None taken. For what it's worth, I always thought you were amazing. You're organized, responsible, kind. You held that family together, Em. Without you, we all would have fallen apart. That's not my job, I said quietly. No, it's not. But you did it anyway. That says something about you. After we hung up, I sat on my balcony, my small balcony in my little apartment, and looked out at the city. The sunset painted everything gold and pink, and for the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. A month later, I got a letter from Mom. Not a text, not a call, but an actual handwritten letter. I almost threw it away unopened, but something made me read it. Emily, your father and I have been talking. Really talking. For the first time in a long time. He made me sit down and look at what you sent. The spreadsheets, the receipts, all of it. I didn't want to. I fought him on it. But he insisted. I had no idea. I know that sounds impossible. I know you're thinking, how could you not know? But I didn't. Or maybe I didn't want to know. Maybe it was easier to see you as the daughter who wasn't living up to her potential than as the daughter who was holding everything together. I'm not writing to ask you to come back. Your father says I need to respect your space, and he's right. I'm writing to say I'm sorry. Not the kind of sorry that expects forgiveness, but the kind that acknowledges damage done. I don't know why I was so hard on you. Your father thinks it's because you remind me of myself at your age. Practical, responsible, always taking care of everyone else. I hated those parts of myself. I thought they meant I was boring, invisible. So when I saw them in you, I tried to push you to be different, more like Sarah, more visible, more, I don't know, more something. But here's what I didn't see. You weren't like me at your age. You were better. You were braver. You built a life and a career on your own terms. You saved this family without asking for recognition. You stayed kind even when I was cruel. We're selling the house. Your father got a job at Home Depot, full-time with benefits. I'm working more hours at the salon. We're moving into a smaller place we can actually afford. It's humbling, it's hard, but it's also honest in a way we haven't been for years. Marcus told me about your salary, about your savings, about everything you actually accomplished. I wanted to be proud. I wanted to feel that warm maternal pride. Instead, I felt ashamed. Ashamed that I didn't know my own daughter. Ashamed that I spent years tearing down someone who was doing better than I ever did. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me. I don't know if I deserve forgiveness. But I wanted you to know that I see you now. Really see you. And what I see is someone extraordinary. I'm sorry I made you pay, in every sense of the word, to be part of this family. Mom, I read the letter 3 times. Then I cried. Not sad tears, but something more complicated. Relief, maybe. Grief for the years lost. Hope for something different. I didn't respond right away. I wasn't ready, but I kept the letter. 3 months after the dinner, I met Sarah for coffee. She looked tired. Life with a newborn and a high-pressure job was taking its toll. How's work? I asked. Exhausting. How's your work? Same. Good, though. My boss asked if I wanted to transition into operations management. It's more visible, more strategic, less organizing, more leading. Sarah's eyes widened. That's huge. Are you going to take it? I don't know. I like what I do now. I'm good at it. But part of me wonders if I've been hiding, staying in a role that's important but invisible. Because it's safer. Safer than what? Than being seen, than having to prove myself, than potentially failing in front of people who matter. I stirred my coffee. Mom got in my head, you know? For years, she made me feel like anything I did wasn't enough. So I stopped trying to do anything that could be measured. I stayed in a role where I could be excellent but invisible. And now? Now I'm thinking about what I actually want. Not what she wants, not what proves her wrong, what I want. Sarah reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Whatever you decide, I'm proud of you. For what? For walking away? For knowing your worth? For not letting her destroy you? She paused. I let her define me too, you know? The golden child. The successful one. I built my entire identity around being what she wanted. And now I'm exhausted trying to maintain this image that she created. What do you want? I asked. I want to quit, she said simply. I want to be home with my daughter. I want to not wake up at 4:30 a.m. for conference calls. I want to stop performing success and actually be happy. So do it. Mom would be devastated. Mom's opinion isn't your responsibility. I learned that the hard way. Sarah laughed, but it was shaky. It's not that easy. No, I agreed. It's not, but it's worth it. 6 months after the dinner, Mom called. Not texted, called. Hello? I answered cautiously. Hi, sweetheart. Her voice was different. Smaller, maybe. Less certain. Hi, Mom. I was wondering, could we get coffee sometime? No pressure, no agenda. Just coffee? I looked out my window at the city below. In 6 months, I'd taken the operations job. I'd started therapy. I'd gone on dates. I'd lived a life that wasn't defined by Sunday dinners and measured disapproval. Okay, I said. Coffee. We met at a neutral location. Not her place, not mine. She looked older, more worn. The house sale, the move, the adjustment to living within their means had taken something out of her. Thank you for coming, she said when we sat down. Thank you for asking. We talked about safe things at first. The weather, Marcus's new job, Sarah's baby. Then, slowly, she started to apologize. Really apologize. Not the, I'm sorry you felt that way kind, but the, I was wrong. I caused harm. I understand what I did kind. I'm proud of you, she said finally. I should have said it years ago, decades ago, but I'm saying it now. I'm proud of who you are, not who I wanted you to be, who you actually are. The words didn't fix everything. They couldn't. Years of damage don't heal with one conversation, but they were a start. I'm proud of me too, I said. She smiled, and it was genuine. You should be. A year after the dinner, I hosted Thanksgiving. My little apartment, was full of people. Sarah and her family, Marcus and his girlfriend, Mom and Dad. As I looked around the table, I realized something had shifted. I wasn't trying to earn anything anymore. I wasn't performing or hiding or shrinking. I was just existing, taking up space, being myself. Mom helped me carry dishes to the kitchen. This is nice, she said. Really nice. Thanks. I mean it. The food, the people, it's nice seeing you happy. I am happy, I said, and meant it. I'm sorry it took me so long to see it, to see you. I know. She hugged me then, and I let her. It wasn't forgiveness, exactly. That was still coming, in pieces, slowly. But it was something. A beginning, maybe. As I returned to the table with pie, I caught my reflection in the window. For the first time in my life, I didn't see someone lacking. I saw someone whole. The bill had come due that night at Sunday dinner. I'd paid it. Not in money this time, but in boundaries, in self-respect, in the quiet courage of walking away from people I loved because I loved myself more. And in the silence after I left, in the space I created, something new had grown. Not the family we'd been, but the family we might become. One where I wasn't the loser or the hero, the disappointment or the savior, just Emily. Finally, blessedly, just me. And that was more than enough.